Girl Call Me with Tanya and Jessica is all about community.
Because listen, in a world that's getting wilder by the day, one thing we know for sure, we can't do this alone.
And as always, we're keeping it raw, keeping it funny, and keeping it real. Because if we can't be honest here, then girl, call me later.
So grab your tea, get comfy, and get ready for a season full of laughs, love, and the kind of conversations you need in your life. I was just wondering, like, I know why I'm so tired, but now that this coffee, I think I also hadn't had coffee. Now that I'm having my coffee, I'm starting to I'm coming alive.
Well, I'm glad you're energized or getting energized.
I didn't go that. I did not go that far.
I'm going to say, welcome, listeners. There is, Jessica may sound like she's been through it. That's because she's been living her best life.
Look, Tanya, you love to add extras to it. First of all, it just took me from I'm coming back alive to now you're saying I'm energized.
And Virgos.
I don't think I've really been through it. I did take a fast turnaround, turn and burn, if you will.
Yes, you did.
To see my Aces beat the Minnesota Lynx in Las Vegas.
Stud buds were there. Hey.
Stud buds were there. Stud buds got beat. Yeah, shout out to the Las Vegas Aces. We're talking about suffered the worst loss in WNBA history and to the Minnesota Lynx, and then proceeded to win 13 games in a row, longest in franchise history.
Joy.
And
hashtag.
This 13th game being the Minnesota Lynx. And I was present and living my best life and so full of joy. Going back to our last episode, manic joy.
Yes.
hit the tables after the win, won $800 in like 2 hours. I was feeling it. All good things in the universe. So thank you to my Aces for making for bringing joy into my life. And shout out to my husband. I mean,
who indulged.
I was gonna say who I had to drag to Las Vegas to go to go see a game with me half court. But shout out to my husband who's been silently really leaning into the WNBA season.
Okay. Silent. I'm leaning in too. For my wife, Jen. I mean, I went to a game.
You just stole Jason. I just want to say,
I stole Jason's shine.
JCL's moment. Yeah. Shine.
Let me give him back his shine.
Shine, husband, shine. JCL for supporting me and what I love and also supporting the WNBA. And he was wearing an Asia Wilson shirt the other day and I almost cried. I mean, I bought it for him, but I forgot I bought it for him. And then he was wearing it at the Sparks game and I almost cried. So shout out to my husband for being the best partner ever.
Well,
now, I want to shout out to you, Tanya, also.
No, I don't want any shine. But what I want to say is, for our listeners, this is how we're starting, right? How we start and how we end is all about sports.
Maybe two different things. Oh.
But I will say, yes, I am really excited that you're living in your Virgo season. Your birthday's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yes.
You've started to celebrate. I would say this is the beginning of the celebration, correct? I mean,
Tanya, I as a Leo, I'm sure you would say that, but I don't normally look at my birthday as like a series of milestone events over a cascade of events over a month. But
you should.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about this as a birthday present. So
I think you should take a page out of my book.
Okay.
And say, listen, the start of the birthday celebration.
Right.
And accept it, acknowledge it, and shout out to all of the Virgos out there who, aren't really doing what Leos do, but should probably follow us a little bit.
Look, I will say that Asia Wilson and her mother are both Leos. And Nalissa Smith, who's on the team, is also. They have a lot of Leos on that team. So I was at the game on Bay Day, so Beyonce's birthday. We'll take.
And you thought at one point, I will say this. At one point, you texted me. You're like, "I think she's going to show up."
I said, "Just okay." What if she did?
I don't think so.
Bec Well, Asia's been saying they keep interviewing her and saying, "Who do you want to come to a game?" And she keeps saying Beyonce. So I
Not
was
on her
just like,
birthday.
what if she came in Vegas? What if she was there? What if she came? We had
Mm,
to settle for Floyd Mayweather, but
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure we can compare,
no,
but okay.
we can't. But yeah, shout out to so yes. Anyways, shout out to Leos again. Is that where we were going?
Shi all all roads lead to no,
Leos.
I'm gonna continue to say happy Virgo season because
Thank
you know
you.
what? All true Leos are, we celebrate everyone and we celebrate others.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you had a really fun time. I want to just once again welcome our listeners. Like, subscribe, rate us. We have a really interesting topic, but before we kind of dive into the topic, I know you're not up to date, but I do want to talk about the auntie energy of Tabitha Brown. And
I did watch the clips you sent me. I feel like I
yeah,
do have some things to say. Auntie energy is it's interesting when you are an auntie to
yes,
then look at who you would see as an auntie and then be like, "Oh my god, do I come off that way?" Because she's our age. She's what,
yeah,
somewhere in her mid 40s, something like
yeah,
that, 50.
yeah, yeah.
But her, yeah, that okay, we should tell people because not everyone
So
probably
let
follows
okay,
her.
yeah. Let's give a
Also,
little
why'd she
context.
look like she was, like why did her video look like she was doing it from, like, a college dorm room? There were, like, Clorox wipes in the back.
It
There
was
was,
her
like, a l
laundry room. She was an everyday person. She was showing you her the
oh,
everyday, right? It wasn't so. Let's
gotcha.
go back up a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
back give 'em the story.
Tabitha decided to go on the internet, the interwebs, and let everyone know. And I think for some reason, Black women took it like she was talking to Black women. She didn't say who she was talking to. She didn't actually say all Black women. What she said is, if you're an entrepreneur,
Did she not say black women? Was she saying cis
maybe
and
she
people
said sis.
I
She
think
did say sis.
she was
She
pretty
said sis.
it felt like it was that black woman to me.
She said sis, and
Okay.
she goes, sis. You know how she is. She's a little bit like country and a little bit of folksy and a little bit
A
of
a
everything.
more than a little bit.
Just a little bit. So she goes, girl, like she does that, right? So what she said is, if you're not making it, if you're an entrepreneur and you can't pay your rent in a nutshell, and you are sleeping on folks' couch and not able to pay the bills, you should think about getting a job because entrepreneurship ain't for everybody. That's a quote. Well, that did not land well with everyone. I will say Tabitha did work a job while she was trying to push her products, push her, social media as an influencer. And a lot of people felt as though in her current state of where she is, in her wealth, and yeah, obviously she's still riding for Target. She was not the one to send that message, and people felt offended. And so the internet, the interwebs have been going crazy over particularly Black women who feel offended.
Here's my thing. Regardless of what her status is and how much she has in her bank account, because that's none of our
And I
business.
don't know. I don't even know what her coins look like.
Why this is what kept going through my mind. Why is it anyone's business to tell people what they should and shouldn't pursue?
Ooh, okay.
That was my thing. I was like, who why are you have these people been I understand if these people are if you were saying a thinly veiled message to the people in your life who've been spending money out of your pocket and asking, who are selling, you know, LuLaRoe leggings and pretend like saying it's their job and then
Did you
asking
say
you to
Lil Row?
right and asking you to cover their rent, fine. So if this is a thinly veiled message at shading your family and friends
It
and you
probably
just
was.
then
It
that's
probably
fine
was.
because she kept saying you know who you are. So
Yes,
fine.
she did say, who've
But
been living on
I
my couch.
why are you worried about what your neighbor's choosing to do if that doesn't have shit to do with you? If no one's
Hmm.
asking you to pay for it. Like I really was like, why are you in everyone's business?
I
Like I thought
think
it sounded bossy.
Ooh. Well, I think you're with the majority then,
Yeah.
because
But I
I
didn't
think
think
a
it was
lot of
because she's rich. I'm just more like,
who's
girl,
it business,
who
business,
yeah. Yeah.
mind your business. You were like,
Right.
mind your business. I was
Yeah.
thinking, I felt it was, I mean, I think you're right about that point. It is not my job to tell folks that I'm not paying your bills. So why do I care how you choose to live and flex on social? And maybe you are living on somebody's couch. Her point, it was a little auntie energy. I would say she was like maybe trying to give wisdom to the youth, to the younger folks. Her point about survival hustle is not entrepreneurship, I think could resonate with some, because if you're trying to survive and you are not doing well and you do not have the financial ability to pay your bills, maybe you should consider a job and not be like, I'm going to continue. That's a point. But yeah, it sounds like you are with the masses that feel as though it ain't her business.
Yeah, I was just pulling up the definition of entrepreneur quickly because the other thing that it felt is, which I'm sure she got well, I'm sure she didn't even get this feedback because I don't think that there was a generational piece in there that I don't think she realized either, that
That's
being
fact.
an
That's true.
entrepreneur as a 40-year-old
Yeah.
looks very different. That if you're 20,
And 30, 20 and 30.
entrepreneur, being a content creator is an entrepreneur. That wasn't something that would be considered an entrepreneur when we were coming up. So that part felt a little bit like, again, why are you minding other people's coins? Like why
Mhm.
and why are you like it's fine to have that opinion that you think people should be doing this and doing that and whatever, but this idea that like, yeah, I don't know. I Speaking on it in that way is like, what does it matter for you? What does it matter for multi-level marketing schemes? People have been saying, and I'm calling it a scheme, like MLMs have been a scheme since the beginning. But if people are making money on that and they consider it
They
their
were.
job, I don't, I may not agree with the integrity of the business, but they're not
But
asking me for money. And why
right,
am I shitting on the way that they're going to bring in there? It's like, it is what it is. Now,
right. A
one,
hustle is a hustle. You're saying a hustle is a hustle, and it's not your business to police somebody's hustle.
no, and it's also not your business to say that being an entrepreneur is superior than a hustle.
Mhm. Oh,
It's like it's a word that means something different to someone. Like maybe someone's like, I'm not trying to be an entrepreneur. I was never out here calling myself an entrepreneur. I'm trying to make money. Now,
so my question
again,
is, let me question. My question to you is, let's say this entrepreneur is sleeping on your couch.
I was just about to go there. Very different if you are asking me for money or asking me to contribute to your hustle. And like that's a different conversation. If you're hitting
Right.
me up to buy oils, leggings, whatever, skin so soft, something, cleaning
Girl, you
supplies,
went to Skin So Soft. Avon calling.
cleaning supplies, natural shakes, like, and I'm not trying to do that and you won't listen, that's a different conversation. But other than that, you can sell it all you want and I'm going to give you props for doing it. That's your thing.
Listen, you may
But I don't ask
occasionally
you to
end up
come and help me at my job. I don't ask you to come sit down and help me with my work. So you shouldn't feel upset that I'm not interested in helping you with your work. I'm not your customer. I'm your friend.
wow.
Okay. A word.
Okay. That was the word. Okay, so Tab,
That's what she
that
really
that
was
was the
trying that's what she was
that
trying
was
to
she trying to
say
say.
to her cousin who's been asking her to
To
help
buy
put some
Skin
money
So
on the
Soft.
bills. Yeah. That's the message she was trying to give, but instead she tried to, and we all do that. Like,
And she
how
made
how do
blanket.
I
She made a
say that?
blanket
Yeah, how do I
statement.
make it this a blanket statement so my cousin doesn't think I'm talking about them? Well,
Right.
girl,
And say you should have said, Ray Ray, I need
well,
you.
exactly. Well, girl, now your cousin's pissed and you got 300,000 unemployed black women looking at you going, "But we're trying."
You had 300. And I do think that was the point that many people said. People said, this ain't the time to be, saying stuff like that to Black women who probably are. I mean, a lot of people aren't getting hired right now. It's a struggle. People are trying to survive, losing their jobs. It wasn't the uplifting Tabitha message. And that's the other thing. People expect her to make us all, you know, feel uplifted. She's soft, she's sweet. And instead, we got a message that was go get a job.
That's a danger of social media too, because that could have just been her thought, but because of
Keep
the
it.
well, because she has a platform and because of the way, she's putting the message out, it comes as like, "This is my platform." Is this? When really she could have just had a intrusive thought about her cousin that she put out, that she's so used to sharing everything that she shared it.
And she was in the washroom and decided, let me just do,
Girl.
she was washing dishes or washing clothes and said, let me just do this quick video.
Mm,
Instead, keep it to yourself, write in a journal, maybe send a text to your girlfriend,
right.
find your community. Instead, now she's a think piece on Essence.
And this is a deeper cut too, which is maybe unfounded, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. I'm just gonna be Tab and say it anyway. Is like she told everyone to get out of her pockets when she was talking about Target.
Yeah.
When people were like, "Why are you so targeted?" She was like, "You don't understand
You don't
how
know my
things my
business.
business." Okay, girl. Great.
And she's there. She's still, yeah,
Right. So you didn't want people up in your business. So is this
yeah,
maybe deflection of like now you're up in other people's business? Like y'all were talking about me and Target. What about y'all that aren't doing anything? Oh, okay. That feels like a clapback, maybe.
yeah. Yeah. I also think it's the cost of being at a different stage in her life right now. This is a cost. If she was Tabitha still working, the lift and trying to sell her pots or whatever she was selling, it would be different. But I do think there is something to be said for it being at her status, hanging around Martha's Vineyard.
I don't know though.
Someone can say
Girl, here exactly. You better stop because I think that people on social media are deceptive. Like there's a deception there because I'm not saying I don't know. Again, I don't know what's in her bank account, but the idea that she is like
above.
she's Beyonce or something.
She ain't Oprah.
She's not like she's not
Mm,
at that level. So I also think there is and we said we are going to talk about this. We're not going to in this episode, but we said we're going to talk about this conversation about the we were talking about the class kind of
right.
warfare within the Black community.
I mean, we don't know what she's clearing.
We
And
don't know
if
what she's clearing.
so we do, and so that's the other good point. We make a lot of assumptions.
Well,
We
I
make
think
because I
people
think
too, people on social media have a confusion of like because you scrolled up and you saw Serena Williams, Beyonce, Tab, that they're all at the same level. It's like, girl, no. They may have the
no,
same amount of followers that don't mean
but
shit
tab.
about what their portfolios are talking.
So I think this is a really interesting conversation.
The trouble with social media
Oh God,
is
here we
it
go.
doesn't when you put out a, a think piece, you don't have the context of what everyone else is going through, right? So you're sending one message to a bunch of people and you don't know how someone's receiving that. So if someone is receiving that without a job, dealing with chronic pain, just lost someone in their family.
We
Like you
don't
don't
know.
know how they're going to receive it. And so that's why you have to be careful. It's not saying that your message isn't right or you shouldn't share it. It's just that you don't have control of the receiver.
That's what people be getting in trouble all the time on social. People
Yeah.
gives us the ability to just say what we want to say. That's
Yeah.
we are. I will say we are pretty careful. We're not trying to get. We're are we? No, neither one of us wants to get canceled. Not yet.
Because I got the edit fingers. So when Tanya gets out of pocket, I'm
The
often the
thing
one
that
that's
yeah,
bringing it back.
God knows what I could say. So let's just so you know what I think something we were wanting to talk about. We talked a lot about joy. Listen, you at your games, us and MV, but I think sometimes we don't always talk about some of the things that are bothering us, like the struggles that we don't share. And I think that's also when you talk about social media, there's a lot of people smiling and doing stuff and living their best life, but we don't know what happens when they turn that off. And a lot of people are going through a lot right now, particularly when it comes to Black women right now in the space of losing their job, losing their health care. And so we wanted to kind of take a little bit of a veer to talk because this is actually National Disease Literacy Month. And so often we ignore some of the signs and some of the things that are happening with us. And I know when we first start this podcast, we were really talking a lot about health. September is a big month to stay aware.
Q, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Um,
Maria,
no,
which
September.
one? Oh, do you remember? No, wait, not that one.
Yeah.
No, right, right. The 24th of-
Still
Right.
in September. Yes.
Okay, wait, yeah. Okay, keep going. Take that out.
No,
Sonia.
no, that was so good. Yes. I just listened to episode of WTF podcast with Mark
Mhm.
Maron and Regina King.
Oh,
And
ah, yes.
Regina King was and she got very intimate in the conversation with Mark about the passing of her son Ian.
Mm,
And she in talking about mental illness, which I thought was such a poignant point for any of us who've live with someone who has mental illness or mental health challenges. She talked about the treatment protocol, right? And how when someone has cancer and you have 4 or 5 drugs that you're taking and
mm,
there's a whole protocol around it, if it doesn't work for someone and it works for someone else, you don't blame the person, right?
mm,
So sometimes a treatment will work for someone, and this chemo worked, and this and that, and for some
yeah,
others it doesn't. And she talked about that with mental health and the mix of, medication and therapy and support and this. And sometimes it works for some people, and sometimes it doesn't. And the stigma that comes with and the blame of for
mm,
the blame of the people going through it, but also the people who are supporting people going, why didn't you help more? And
yeah,
and just talking about mental health, trying to do more to talk about mental health in the same way that we talk about physical health. And I thought
yeah,
that was really helpful for me, and just in terms of like awareness and like literacy almost, and like thinking about when someone's with their mental health, like we talk about things as like options versus like this is a protocol, right?
yeah.
And well, anyways, I thought that was helpful for anyone out there who has folks
No.
struggling in your life. I think it's helpful to start thinking about mental and physical health more in the same lane.
Yeah, we actually don't put it in the same lane. I think we for some reason the person struggling with pain or struggling with a disease that you can specifically say you have and go, oh, you have this cancer, this and that, gets that sympathy, right? But someone who might be it's invisible in some ways. You're not physically, or if you're having struggling with mental illness, and this is also Suicide Awareness Month. I was recently, I think I was in a similar vein, Little Nas X. I was just thinking about him recently because he was arrested in the streets of LA, walking naked, being erratic. He was arrested. Everyone said he had a drug overdose. And his father recently came out and said, my son has been struggling. There was no drugs. Everything came back, and then he had no drugs. There was no drugs in his system. He was just been struggling. The weight of trying to take care of his family, the weight of he's at that age in which mental health sometimes appears. But he's in some ways there was some villain. I mean, people were like, well, he's just this and he's just that. Instead of saying, let's give this brother some sympathy because he's having an episode probably.
Right. Well, and you go back to where does it start, right? Our healthcare system. So many of us don't get mental health treatment until we're in crisis.
Right.
We don't have, and look, most things are wrong with our healthcare system. But the one thing that at least as of today is still allowed is, most people who are covered by insurance get an annual checkup, physical,
Yes. Yeah. We're
covered, right?
expected. We're
Yeah.
expected to have one, right?
Whether that's your annual regular
Yeah.
physical, and then for women, we get a women's wellness check or whatever. We don't have a mental health check that is covered by insurance and that has been built into kind of your everyday health protocol. So most of us explore mental health options when we're in crisis
Right.
and need something right now to fix what is happening. And it's like, again, imagine your physical health. If you never went to the doctor and you only went to the ER when anything happened and you had no data to support you, it's just like, I'm in crisis right now, right? If you never went to the health, if you never, Tanya's got clinical notes. Her epic file is so deep, but
Did you say epic? I can't.
that's a deep cut for our healthcare folks. But
Listen. I got blood work on my table right now, my desk right now. I'm
she's
like, let me pull it
I
out.
got
Let
blood
me
work for days. But
let me pull it out.
imagine if you so take mental health. Imagine if you went to a doctor and had never had any of that and were just like, this is what I'm feeling in this emergency right now.
Right.
What's the
Right.
likelihood that they're going to be able to help you or solve anything? Like very low. So that's like, how do we build more checks for mental health into our lives in the same way that, like you said, in first season, we talked a lot about what are
There we
those
go.
things each year you need to be doing as a woman at this age, this age, this age? What are the things we need to be doing for our mental health? Like,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't talk about that enough.
We don't talk about it that enough. And we're thinking about access, despite, some stats, despite having a higher need for mental health services, Black Americans are less likely to seek treatment. Only 39% of Black Americans with a mental health condition receive treatment versus 52% of white Americans.
Which
But fast
52% is still low too, let's be honest.
I mean, that
50
is low, but I still think 39% who know, I think 39%, and I think is it access, it's knowledge, it's stigma.
Yeah, it's
If you're,
culture.
it's culture. If you're in your family and you're like, you know what, I'm seeing a therapist, I think
Now
more
you're
and
that
more,
one. Now you're that
you're like,
person who's like,
oh,
"Oh, she's in therapy."
right. And then auntie energy comes out.
Right.
That auntie energy.
That
Well, you hear he's got the problem.
right,
Like
he's in
literal.
therapy. Oh, his
Right,
life must be so hard. He needs to
right,
go talk to
right,
somebody. It's like,
right,
yeah.
right.
I
I
don't know
mean,
why
and
we're
that's
saying
why,
he.
or they. I mean, I will
That's
say
not
that
that's
more and
not
more
gender.
hearing Black people talk about, I'm seeing a therapist. Oh, I'm going to see
Yes.
my therapist. I need a
Yes.
therapist. I'm going
Yes.
to get help,
Yeah.
is so refreshing
Yes, girl.
because, right,
Especially young people. Like
right,
I, you know, I I have never been more proud of hearing young people in my life are going to therapy. And
right.
I'm not the one who thinks like I'm the one who's like, had I started going to therapy in my 20s or like, my early 20s, I mean, like I can't even imagine. So it's so nice to see the younger
Yeah.
generation is kind of leaning into therapy and other and not even in different ways of mental health, right? They're going to therapy maybe in person. They're going to Zoom. They're going to even like I didn't remember having therapists available. I'm sure there were, but at like my college. And now therapists are like available through student
It's
health,
it's part of the orientation at
right?
every institution, majority. I will say,
Did
I
you
had
have
my
that? Did you
no,
have
yeah,
therapy in
yes,
college? Oh,
yes, and I will say that, and it's very much prevalent, and it was very much, it's a liberal arts college, so,
oh,
you
that's
know,
true.
we were
You guys were
liber
climbing trees
we're
and
climbing trees
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and seeking PhDs,
That's true.
but I
I went to a state funded college. So they were
it's
like,
very different. That goes
here's your actually I'm not even here
it's it
here's your birth control pack. That's what we've got for you,
I will
basically.
say there is differences when you think about where you go and the access to
Yeah.
healthcare when you're, and I will say I had someone who, I think this is pretty progressive, as you mentioned, 20-year-olds. I had my first therapist at 13.
Wow. For trauma
At
related though.
No, it was I
Just
was
for good.
struggling. I was always a bit anxious as a child, and yeah, I was 13. That
Who
was my
made that
first.
decision? Your
My
grandmother?
grandmother, my grandmother.
Wow.
She
Bless
and I
look at
remember,
her.
and I was like, blessings
Give
to
her
her. I will remember going and going. I was real rebellious too. I had an attitude.
we know. We know.
Everybody's shocked, right?
Everybody
Everyone's shocked. But I
everyone
remember
remember if
going,
you haven't listened to our junior high jitters
yeah,
episode.
you should know. But I will say one thing for all you sisses out there sending your children to therapists, make sure it's someone that understands, because it
Right.
was a white therapist and she was asking me random questions. And I remember, I think I went twice. I said, I'm not going back. I was 13.
Right.
But in my 20s, I went to therapy. I
Mm.
think throughout my life, but I think that is pretty progressive
But
for a
but it
Jamaican
is, but you it
family in some ways. I don't
it is,
know.
but I well, yes, I mean, but you are also probably the most progressive person in your family, and I think
Yes, I am. Yes,
yeah,
I am.
and you are a seeker of community and a seeker of information to better understand the
I do
world
need
around
data.
you.
I need data.
So, yeah, so I that doesn't shock me with you, but I guess did you share it openly with people in your life and your friends, or was it kind of
No,
like your own thing? Yeah,
yeah,
right.
nobody, and, I think I said this in our junior high jitters that I was a peer counselor, and in my mind, I had years of experience that I could tap
I'm
in, but
I'm sorry, I forgot we have a practitioner on the call.
did you not know that I was a
I'm
armchair
sorry.
therapist in
Yeah, I'm forgetting that we have
and
a certified junior high peer counselor in the room.
I've been to therapy for a long time, guys. So let's
Guys,
let's
guys,
gather.
circle round.
Let's
Circle round.
gather. Let's talk. But to laugh about it, but it's really I mean, I think that think about parents and families. More 13-year-olds, if in a world we live in currently, more
Oh my god.
13-year-olds need
Yes,
therapists.
13-year-olds, I don't
It's
there's
a
a
hard
whole lot
time.
of
It's a hard time.
girl, there's a whole lot of stuff that I think about as a 40 at the date of this recording, 41-year-old, not yet 42-year-old.
Give or take, give or
There
take.
is 12 to 18 months
Mm,
of my life from when I was like 10 to let's call it 11 and a half, 12 that I'm still working through right now.
mm,
And that
yeah.
is like not I cannot even imagine if you had layered on like 13-year-olds today were
Ooh,
8. What wait, no. Yeah, we're 8 when COVID
right.
started. They were
Oh my
8,
God.
9 they were 8 and 9 and
Like,
10 going to
wow.
school or, going to school on Zoom, wearing masks, not seeing people's faces, couldn't see the other friends. There's probably a whole lot of like, you can't hang out with those people because they
Right.
are like this. And
Someone in the White House
girl,
that was,
girl,
you know,
you think about the external stuff layered on top of all the internal stuff you're dealing with as a kid.
Lord.
Every child should be in therapy right now.
Every
Like
honestly,
we
honestly.
should be offering therapy like we every child every kid in you think about our people who are say graduating college this year, last year. Those are kids that
Yeah,
went through high school in COVID. Like
yeah,
every I hope half of those kids are going to become therapists because they're going to have to help everyone behind them. I just read something this year's kindergarten class, right? Were people who were born in 2020. Like these little babies coming in, we got a lot of work to do, and
we have a lot.
we have a lot of stuff ahead of us.
And you think about the
Um,
generations that maybe they lost, the grandparents,
yes,
I mean,
yes,
especially in the
yes,
Black community. Let's
girl,
be,
yeah. You maybe had a family, yeah, that lost 3, 4, 5 elders. Like
right,
that's a
yeah,
lot for
it's a
kids.
lot. Yeah,
Um, we should be having if you take something away from this episode, if you aren't in therapy.
call somebody.
And I'm not even saying you have to start a full therapy thing, but some of
No.
you, if you're paying for insurance, let's give the practical tips. Tanya always wants us to go back to practical, which I
Yes,
appreciate.
yes,
Go to your healthcare plan today and see what is covered through for mental health.
yeah,
Because you may have, our insurance plan covers, I think 10 or 12 kind of sessions that you can do with
right.
a therapist that you build a relationship with. You can do one-offs like I'm having this issue right now. You could probably just do it if you wanted to do a check-in. I've never been to therapy. Here's who I am. What are things that I can like work on my own? So if you take anything away from this episode, go home and look at what you are already paying for in your insurance and figure out one thing that you could add to your healthcare checklist around mental health.
Yeah. And I think, we talked about a lot of women who are out of work. So
Mhm.
if there are free resources, if you're
Yeah.
a veteran, you can call the Veterans Crisis Line.
Yeah.
There are actually state health departments that will provide support, particularly for crisis. There's some great organizations that will support. The National Alliance for Mental Health offers free support. And there are a lot of groups online. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
there are a lot of, particularly for Black women, there's a lot of great support services online to support you. And
Yeah.
seek it out. I think, I think about the stressors of the season that we're coming into. I think the stressors of where we are currently are in the world and work pressures, family. I think there's no one that doesn't need help or support. And if you're in a community, we talked a lot about community this up in this whole season. Reach out to your community. There's a sister that knows a sister that knows a therapist that will
Yeah.
probably give you some free help.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting emotional. I feel like I think the literacy piece is so important. I think, as someone who has supported others in their journeys, it is there's nothing worse than trying to learn this stuff when you're in crisis
Hmm.
and learn
Mm-hmm.
about what you can do and what resources are available when you're knee deep in it. And so be someone who can help your community. Literacy
Yeah.
is also about like raising up everybody else. So
Yeah.
even if you aren't experiencing or someone in your life isn't experiencing something that you know right now, think
Yeah.
about if your friend picked up the phone tomorrow and called you and said, "I'm in crisis." Would you know what to do? And would you know what resources were available? And if your answer is no, it's not because you don't have a friend going through crisis right now. You do. I
Mm.
guarantee you everyone who's listening has someone who's in a mental health crisis right now. And so the work that you can do is just understand what's available, understand what's not available, and be ready to support someone when they need it. Because unfortunately, right now, there's not a huge amount of resources available to everyone, and so
Yeah.
we are brother's keeper. And so the more that we can all educate ourselves on mental health and what's available to people, the better we'll all be.
Yeah. I think that's a word right there. That's it. I think it's easy and sometimes it's helpful to support someone else and
Mhm.
look outside of yourself. Community is key right now. And reach out to someone. If you haven't
Yes.
heard from someone in a while, or you're like, you know what? Did that person or that reach out to them.
Yeah.
Offer a trip. I think one of my wife's really close friends, she was having some challenges. We offered her a trip to come visit, you know? And sometimes getting out of wherever you are can shift. Go to the beach,
Yeah.
take some out to lunch. Just really be there. We need to be there for each other more than ever.
Yeah. There is a deep there is a need for deep, deep empathy right now
Yeah.
and supporting each other. And like I said, it's not if you have someone in your life that's going through something that you have to think about it. It's when that person brings it up to you because everybody's struggling right now, and unfortunately, a lot of people struggle in silence until it reaches a crisis point. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
not
Use
to
Not to take it, but I will say use September
it's life.
as an
Yes,
opportunity to
yes,
reach out. The season is coming, hard
yes.
seasons for many. You
Yep.
know
You
what's
know what?
going
That's
on
a
for your
great
family.
point.
Yeah.
That's a great point because September is this kind of turning point for now.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't feel it as much living in LA, but
Right.
like
We don't.
the weather changes for a lot of people. And October, November
Yep.
is,
s-
holidays,
Right.
weather, those pressure of those two external factors alone push a lot of people into a space that they cannot navigate on their own.
Right. Right. So girl, call us.
Call us. Yes.
like,
Yes.
like, subscribe, rate, and let us know what you are doing for your friends and how you're reaching out. Reach out.
Reach out and touch
Touch somebody's
somebody's.
hand. I
We're
got
not
that. That's
we're
yeah,
not leaving that in there.
we might actually.
Hey, it's Jessica. Thanks for listening to Girl Call Me. If you have something to add or a story to share, come on over to Instagram or Facebook and join the conversation. Also, make sure you follow and subscribe Girl Call Me. You don't want to miss when we release new episodes. Thanks for listening.